I swear, this year is going by so fast. It is already the last day of April, and I didn't get around to watching as many movies as I wanted to this month. I only was able to watch 3 new April releases, so I'm going to rank them from the worst to the best. And coming in third place or last place is Arcadian, and this is still a movie that I think this is good. I still enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I've only seen 3, so each one of these movies I enjoyed. And think one of the reasons I didn't enjoy this just as much doesn't really or why it's more last is it doesn't speak with something necessarily wrong with this film, but just to how good the other 2 were. But in this movie, I mean, of course, Nicolas Cage, one of my favorite actors of all time, and it's no different here. He's still great. I still love his performance here. Although I will just say this is more of a much more mellow performance for him, which I mean, a mellow performance from Nicolas Cage is still a pretty insane performance. But even then, it is very calm. And this is a kind of horror movie that it's one of those one location kind of movies. And it's the idea of, it's kind of like your classic, you can't go out at night or the monsters will get you. That is what this movie is. It's only an hour and a half. And it's very short and sweet. But I think that because of that, it allows it to be not necessarily all killer, no filler, but it allows there to be almost consistent tension, but also it has enough time for these emotional beats, especially because with Paul, there's this part where, I mean, we see how he became a single dad at the beginning of this, like, apocalypse, and how he has to kind of raise his 2 sons, whereas they're kind of arguing together. And then there's, like, also this third girl character who one of the sons has a crush on. And there's a bunch of uniqueness to this movie, I think, from the beautiful monster design. And I think it's also has, like I said, I think it's got that emotional core. But I think my favorite parts were just like the slow tension. When you hear the noises, it's more what you hear rather than see. And when you do see, I think that it was great. So yeah, it's not necessarily this is a bad film. I think this is actually quite a good movie, but just the other 2 are better. And coming in second place, we have The Greatest Hits. The main reason I actually wanted to check out this movie is just because David Corenswet is in it, and he will be playing the new Superman movie in 2025, which sounds futuristic, but that literally is just next year. But that is the main reason I want to check out this movie, although he is not really in it that much. He's not the main character. This movie is about maybe an hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes. He's probably only in this movie for like 20 minutes of the screen, maybe 30. And it's mainly focused on this other girl. And the premise to this movie is, it is a time travel mixed with romance. And it is about grief and overcoming it. Because she is using time travel to go back in time to try to save her dead boyfriend. And it's a lot of it as how that's kind of destroying herself. She's kind of not really having much of a social life because she just keeps going back in time trying to prevent her boyfriend's death. And it's stopping her from having a relationship in the future. Well, present. And I think that it has this great emotional core of acceptance. And I won't spoil the ending, but I think the way it ends in both a cool and satisfactory way, and the fact that it didn't feel unnecessary, but at the same time it ends with the emotional pull that made you think, okay, yeah, I'm glad it worked out like that. I'm glad this happened. I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad that did, etc. And this is a movie there, like I said, it's got that time travel element, but it's much more of a slower, somber romance. But I thought that it was done very well here, and I thought it was pretty good. And coming in at number 1 is Challengers, and this movie is very intense. Like, this is a movie about tennis, but I swear, like, your heart's beating more than any horror movie that you're going to watch, at least this year, because this movie is great. It's a movie that's very interesting because all 3 of our main characters are kind of just awful people, and they're only really out for themselves. But in the same way, in your own twisted way, you kind of want all of them to succeed, even though you don't think that they're good people. Where in this movie, I would say also, just for preference, I'm not even really that big of a Zendaya fan. I think that but maybe I am mostly just judging her because I've only really seen her in the Spider-Man movies, and I'm just not a big fan of her MJ. So I kind of maybe went in this with a little bit of bias against her. But I will say that her performance is incredible in here, as well as Josh O'Connor and Mike Fast. But I think that what this movie does so well is it shows this toxic relationship with this girl and these two other guys that both are like, you think that these people should not be around each other at all, but at the same time you are rooting for all of them, but also thinking, no, you don't deserve that, you're not a good person. And it makes you feel all these complex decisions, because Zendaya's character is only really doing it because her tennis career ended and she's basically just dating one of these other tennis players in hopes to build up money in kind of her own career. And it's all this kind of toxic relationship, but it's done in this way where you kind of want to see all of them succeed. And I think that it's, like I said, the tennis matches are just intense with the POV. You're like, when they hit the ball, you're following the ball, and it's just from the sound design. Then occasionally they'll do shots from like underneath, like you'll see their feet moving. And I think that not only does it have beautiful cinematography as well as great acting, but it's just a movie that is just so intense. And I think that this was definitely one of my biggest surprises of the year. So yeah, this is my number one. I'm hoping that this May I'm able to see more than just 3 movies, but I was pleasantly surprised this month in terms of the movies that I saw. So yeah, leave your ranking of all the April movies that you saw this month. And yeah, that's about it. Also, just leave a like if you enjoyed my video. Like I said, leave your ranking of all the April 2024 releases that you saw, ranked from the worst to the best. And if you want, also leave your most anticipated ranking for the movies that come out in May. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and subscribe for more rankings and reviews like this.